Hello everybody, this is Kate Sonora from ManifestingAccelerated.com, and today I'm talking with Jeffrey Oswald from Supermanifestor.com about his book, The Manifesting Manual. Okay, Jeffrey, let's jump into it with the first question. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you came into the manifesting law of attraction niche?
Well, when I was 16 years old, my dad introduced me to a little book called Creative Visualization by Shakti Gawain. And
Yes.
yeah, immediately I just got so inspired, and I started to see the shift in my consciousness right away, and it really just brought me into my body more and into my senses, into my heart, and
Yeah.
I just felt this huge world open up for me. And then I took a trip to India when I was 25 and had a spiritual awakening, which
Wow.
completely shifted my reality into the fact that there was a synchronicity happening everywhere I went, where my thoughts were creating my reality, and I understood this to be this instant manifestation. And so it was kind of a miraculous time that came and went. And so that's where the Manifesting Manual was actually born, was out of this experience that we can actually manifest things instantly.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was kind of a big...
So that must have been amazing. And to be 16, that's such a great age to be introduced to it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was kind of like, the consciousness was so open at that age that it was just ripe. There's a ripeness, I think, when we are ready for the
Yes.
understanding of manifesting. So
Yes. And quite lucky in some ways too, because you didn't have like you too many years of I guess negative experiences or negative thought patterns to
right.
overcome.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think in some ways, the older we get, like, the more we have to sort of climb uphill to get over the negative
Yes.
doubts that it's possible.
To undo all the what's come before it, if you like.
Right, right.
Yeah. Wow. And then so you were in India and you had an amazing. So how long did that last for? That
Well,
spiritual.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it still kicks in here and there, and it depends on how often I focus on and dive into it. Then I can create that sort of that wellspring, or it's the wellspring's already there. I can just relax into it or tap into it any time. But I mean, what the most important thing that I think that I have to share is that this is an integration process for anyone who has had a spiritual awakening or a satori experience or samadhi or whatever you want to call it, that there's this integration period where you have to, in some way, bring heaven down to earth.
Yes, yes. You have to come back to everyday living and you live. You have to make your breakfast. You have to get up. You have to, in some ways, still do the mundane things.
Yeah, absolutely. The practical world, the 3D world still exists, even though you may be living in such a blissful, enlightened realm of God consciousness. And it is really about, bringing that merging in the body, through the sex center, through the heart center, through the brain. It's about really integrating it in your feelings, your emotions. It's a down-to-earth process, manifesting. It's not, I mean, that's what it is. It's bringing the thought down into the physical plane.
And it's very practical too, I find. Like, it's something that it's no amount of reading about it is going to do anything for you. You've got to actually get out there and practice it and be and living while you're doing it. It's not something that you can just sort of, you can't really just take a week off once a year and hope that that's going to.
Yeah, it is exactly like that. I mean, I've found that there's people who, do, say, a half hour a day of practice, and then they shift their consciousness into, the 3D, I've got to get stressed about bills and that kind of world. And it's
Yeah.
really, where are you investing your energy and your consciousness in each moment throughout the 24 hours you got?
Yeah, that's
And
right.
that's what you're going to get. And
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, the people think that, I've done 10 minutes and that'll do, but what are you doing for the other 23 hours and 50 minutes of the day to help bring that along, to help speed that up?
Yeah. And I think, just lightness and laughter, playfulness, just really taking life non-seriously
Yes.
is really essential. It's just for this world, and once you get that down, then you can take more of a sincere approach to it, because I think people make the mistake of taking manifesting in the physical world just so seriously, because they're so stressed about, I have to have this money or this relationship or this health or this something to survive.
Yes.
And so it's a survival kind of clenched fist that causes us to actually not manifest. And
Yes.
and that's one of the biggest blocks I found with people, is that they just don't know how to relax. And and relaxation is truly, it's a state of trust. It's a state of knowing that you are provided for on a higher level by
that sense of trust, isn't it, really?
Yeah, how do you access trust? I mean, that is such a huge thing, to just let yourself feel trust in the vibration of trust, and to just relax into that feeling in your heart, and just know that you can trust that this is going to take you through this entire lifetime and really provide the greatest, highest possible experiences that you could ever imagine.
Yes.
Just through that vibration of trust. It's truly a profound experience.
It's interesting that you've brought that up, because that's sort of almost the opposite to what we're taught in Western society from an early age, is that, you've got to do the work. It's all about work. You don't get anything for nothing. You can't sit down and do nothing, or you're not going to make it. You've got to go from the time you pretty much graduate high school.
Yeah. And this is, about trusting that every initial response is the right thing. So, if you're inspired to do something in this world, you trust that.
Yes.
If you're inspired not to do something, then you don't do that. You really follow your intuition each moment, and it's just about becoming a more sensitive human being to your inner world. And when the more sensitive you can become, the more you can tune into this really, really powerful, unlimited source of energy and consciousness and love and abundance that is inside of us. And it's really about relaxing into that.
Yes, and it's one of those things as well. Do you find where once you get started, it has a snowball effect, so that initially with the trust element, it's like you kind of have to build up a data bank, as it were, of trust, or circumstances where you can say, oh, okay, yes, I could have been very fearful then, but I trusted and it worked out.
Yeah.
And then you've got, once you've got a few sort of smaller experiences, it becomes a lot easier to relax into it.
Yeah. And I think for the listeners, the most important thing is to, go through all the times in your life where you were trusting life, where you're trusting yourself, where you're trusting the world. Just write them all down, and just focus on those times and bring them into your body and really feel that vibration, because that's going to take you so much further than pushing yourself to, learn a technique, try to raise your frequency through, whatever things that you think are going to do that.
It's something outside of you, isn't it, really? It's sort of a bit foreign. Sometimes I think for people, it's a bit manufactured. Is that the right word? Where they're trying to sort of step into a technique that, where they're thinking, I've got to do this and then I'll be able to manifest. Whereas what you're saying is to be a lot more organic and look back on your own life already, where you've sort of got into that that flow of universal love.
Hmm. Yeah.
Does that
Yeah.
is that sort of what you're saying?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
would you say that that's the most important thing, the most important element when it comes to manifesting? That people get into that sense of trust and surrender?
Yeah, that's the foundation, the pillars, that sort of build the structure of instant manifestation, are true surrender to this moment,
Yes.
and from that place, you are one with God. The God
Yes.
source is you. There's no separation from that. There's a sense of real alignment with your true nature. And it's not, most people think God is something separate, that's something higher or different but it's really not. It's got the organic unity of the higher and the lower. And so it's sort of a blending and a merging of these polarities. And
Yes.
it's an awesome way to, just open yourself up to trust, because trust, the vibration of trust is natural when the heaven and earth realms meet, meaning like the body and spirit meet, when our breath meets with the air. It's just in this moment, the sun and the darkness and the light. It's the merging of these polarities inside of us that the trust is built, and it's rooted. It's real. It's not a fake trust. It's a real trust in that's grounded moments, like the roots of the tree and the branches. It's really rooted in your being,
Yes.
and that's the foundation. Now, the other pillars that I call it, like if there's a pyramid, with a few sides here. I don't know how many sides we're going to build today, but there's a few sides that one of them is definitely clarity of vision of your future.
Yes.
What is it that you really want to manifest?
Yes. Yes. This is a common, I think, obstacle that people face. They don't get clear at the beginning about what they're looking to manifest.
Exactly. And the more clear that you can become on what brings you joy, super amounts of joy, then this is going to build such an inspiration, a motivation, excitement, just a pizzazz. When you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh my gosh, I feel unstoppable. I don't know what to do with myself, but I'm just going to do whatever inspires me in each moment. And that's what you want. You want to build that joy valve, open that joy valve in your heart. And so you wake up and you're just so alive and so excited. And that's where the clarity actually comes from. It's when you get so excited that you reach those peak states of consciousness that the clarity, it takes on that flavor, of that peak state. And so you naturally just create this clear vision of what it is that makes your heart sing. And when you get excitement and this pizzazz for life mixed in with a visualization, a movie in your mind about what it is you want, oh my God! I mean, it's like, look out, world! You're bound to attract
Unstoppable.
that. Yeah. And so you have that's one side of the pyramid. Now you go to the other side. You're going to look at what's stopping you, what's blocking you, what are your fears, what are your limitations, what are the inhibitions, the sense of the small self that you relate to, where you're a victim, or you're listening to sabotaging thoughts, you're listening to these little gremlins in your mind that say, you can't do it, you're not big enough, you don't have the money, you don't have the resources, you're not, cute enough, pretty enough, whatever. I mean, all of these thoughts that are negative are the blocks to forming, this clear vision to bringing heaven down to earth. And so, the key here is to just talk to those blocks as if they were some entity or some other being in the room that was really negative, that was just looking very sternly at you and saying, I don't believe that you can do this. You've been a failure your whole life, and I don't think you're going to succeed. And so you look that voice, as if it was standing in front of you in the room, and you say, you know what, I love you and I care about you, and I know that you're not feeling, so positive right now. And I believe that you, inside of you, is this possibility of, feeling okay about whatever
Yeah.
happens.
And also there's that aspect of, I know that you are only trying to protect me,
Mm,
but, you know, I
exactly.
don't, this isn't protecting me, it's holding me back, so I choose not to take that on board at this stage. But
Yeah,
I appreciate that there is that fear and that sabotaging belief did once hold a purpose. It had
exactly.
a, yeah, it had a a protective agenda, I guess.
Absolutely. That's a huge
Yeah.
point because I think a lot of people they get stuck in defending themselves and having a wall of defense around
Yes.
their energy field so that they don't get disappointed and they don't get dumped and they
Yes.
don't get rejected, and the thing is that if you're living in this prison of fear, yeah, you may feel pretty safe, but you're going to feel pretty
Yeah.
small and limited,
Yeah.
and your
Yeah.
dreams are definitely not, those big dreams are definitely not going to come your way. They can't fit into that small little prison. So you
Yes.
have to break out of your prison of negative, smallness or what limited thinking really is all it is, and
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and just start with
And
the
out of that
one.
comfort zone that that holds you there, but it's not really serving you.
Exactly. Yeah, and you just start with the one thought that anything is possible. You just start with that one thought, and you
Yeah.
let that thought into the gremlin that is in the room with you, that sabotaging voice in your head. You just say, anything is possible. Anything's
Mm.
possible.
Yeah.
And
That's
and
right.
and what that does is it doesn't negate the gremlin. You're not defending against the gremlin. You're not pushing it away. And you're not even ignoring it, really. You're just stating a
Yeah.
bigger reality that the gremlin has to give into because we do live in an infinite universe with infinite
Yeah.
possibility. So it's pretty much a fact that, I mean, I don't know if you can prove it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody can prove it, but it really is a fact that in my world at least, that anything is possible, and that when you live in that truth, then miraculous things start showing up. And from my experience, they started showing up instantly.
Wow.
It's that
Yeah.
fast. So,
So, so can you give me an example of the miraculous things that showed up for you? Like just one small.
well, it depends, like what you're talking about,
Not
because
too
I mean,
personal, obviously.
yeah, I mean, there's so many things that like probably people would not believe that actually happened. Um, and I can share something, something simple that happened
Yep.
was that one time I actually wanted to see if I could communicate with animals on a psychic level, and so
Wow.
I focused on a cow that was about, I'd say maybe almost a kilometer or maybe half a kilometer away. It was pretty far away anyway,
Yep.
and I just focused on this one cow that was away, and I just said, why don't you just come to me and look me in the eyes, and I sat there and waited and waited and waited, and I just held that intention and with this love and this presence that this cow was going to be standing in front of me, and I was actually sitting at a restaurant in India, and of course there's cows that are connected, or the pastures are connected to the restaurants, and so it actually just walked right up to me in this restaurant, out of this huge field, and started staring at me. And I realized like the possibilities of that happening, like
How amazing is
the
that? That
chances.
is,
Yeah, and it's I mean,
yeah.
this is one thing that it just shows you that the power of that we are
Yep.
so connected to our world, much more than we know.
Yes. And
Everybody's
yeah.
experienced like this aspect of, well, you think about calling your best friend, and all of a sudden they're calling you,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's that level of connection that we have with the world. And so if you just bring that into this sort of this infinite potentiality, that your thoughts about this future reality that you want, they're
Yes.
already being listened to. The universe is
Yep.
already taking them, and just like that cow received my message, the universe is receiving your desires, and it knows
Yep.
exactly what you want. There's
Like
no
we're
doubt.
constantly broadcasting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a permanent, radio station that's always
Yeah.
on 24/7,
Yep.
and you can't turn it off. It's
Yep.
just that you want to turn your frequency to the most positive, loving, open-minded channel, whatever that
Yes.
is,
Yes. Yes. Yep.
which,
Well,
trust.
it's because we're the ones that block the
Well, and
receiving.
it's not even you.
Yeah.
It's the programs that you've been given through other people that you believed in that are
Yes.
just voices and tapes in your head that are repeating themselves, and it's not really you. And I
Yep.
really want to make that distinction, finely tune that distinction, because often we get really identified with, I am this negative thought,
Yes.
I am this block, and it's not you. You are not your thoughts.
Yes. Yes. That's so critical.
It's
I
huge.
think yes, and I think that's part of the reason that so many people have maybe an aversion to meditating, because there's that tiny fear that first of all they that they've never been without their thoughts,
Mm.
and then when they find that that it is difficult initially, that there's also that sense of, well, if I don't have anything in my mind, will I lose my sense of who I am? Am I still going? That it's almost like the mind. I mean, we've been such a slave's probably not the right word, but so consistently in the Western world. I wouldn't say it's the same for the Eastern cultures, but just it's all intellectual, isn't it? It's nothing to do with emotion or clarity of connection to spirit or any of that. The mind is just so worshipped, really, in the Western world.
Yeah, and I would have to say that slave is the perfect word for how
I was trying to get away from negative connotations.
Well, I mean,
but,
and being a slave to love is a beautiful thing, versus being a slave to the mind, which the mind is both. It's got both good and bad qualities. It's got the yin and the yang elements of male and female, and so the mind is really just a tool. It's like this massive toolbox of all these tools, and when you get over-identified with your toolbox, you forget how to actually use the tools.
Yes.
You become used.
Start using you.
They start using you, and you become the tool. And it's like you're much bigger than a tool. You're not a tool. You're beyond the tool, and I think one of my favorite analogies for people who are struggling with quieting their mind or meditating is just to know that your mind is sort of like a fishbowl with a little, goldfish that's been swimming around in circles for, its entire life in this fishbowl. And sometimes it's swimming pretty fast. And what happens is when it swims really fast for a long time, it gets caught in the current, and all the muck that's at the bottom of the fishbowl tends to come up and fill the water. So the fish can't even really see very clearly through life. Things seem like they're, kind of desolate or desperate, and I don't really know how to manifest my world, and my relationships are harsh, and that's because the water is mucky. Okay?
Yeah.
And so you got to stop swimming.
Yes.
which doesn't necessarily mean you got to stop living your life and going to work. It just means you got to be more centered in the mind chatter throughout the day, and just being the stillness that is at the center of your consciousness, while the mind may be still, caught in the current. And then eventually, with enough time of stillness and actually practicing sitting perfectly still, where there's no movement in the body, is one of the most profound things that you can do to physically get the mind to slow down and stop. And if you can sit still for...
Wow, that's a great tip. Yeah.
If you can sit still for 45 minutes, okay, and just completely, let the breath, of course your breath is going to move on its own. It's not going to be, but it'll slow down to the point where...
Stop breathing.
Yeah, I mean, the body will breathe for you. Don't worry about that. You just let go of the body and let the body breathe. but you just focus on not moving any muscle. And from that place, you will find, and it's like climbing Mount Everest. It's something, it's probably you're not gonna do it on the first day. You know, I mean, unless you're ready for it.
Yeah. I think I'm wondering how long I could do that for.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah, try it out. I mean, some people may be able to do 1 minute or even 30 seconds, and that's enough. You know, that for that day, that is a perfect amount of time. And then next day, maybe you do 10 more seconds or 1 more minute, or just keep seeing if you can add on even a few more seconds the next day. But the thing is to keep doing it, because eventually that current in that fishbowl that you've been swimming in for your whole life is going to slow down and to come to a stop. And when it does, eventually the muck is going to settle down at the bottom of the fishbowl again. And that's where the miracles start showing up.
Wow. Okay. That's an awesome tip. So in terms of what you just shared, obviously one of the tools that is really important to use is some kind of meditation to kind of clean out that or relax the water in your fish tank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how would you recommend that everybody does that on a daily basis, even if they just sit there? They don't have to try and quieten their mind, but just not move their muscles.
Yeah, I mean that's a really, really lasered in meditation where you're going to see results with that if you do it every day and you add a little bit more time until you get to 45 minutes. Okay, and I don't really understand why 45 or it might be 48 minutes is the key point where you know the tank actually is completely cleared out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it does take some time to filter out a huge pool of water. You know,
absolutely.
So it is.
Especially thinking some people have got 30 years of just that chatter, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years of chatter that they've got to sort of let rest. Because it doesn't really rest when you sleep either, does it?
No.
I mean, you're active when you're sleeping, if you think about it, when you're dreaming. And
yeah, I mean, those are deep filters that are cleaning out the deep muck that you're not even aware of that's happening. And you know, there's some beautiful things that happen, like when you bring meditation into, say, washing the dishes or driving your car, or even talking with a friend. You know, that you can be the stillness in the center of the cyclone, or you can really be merging with your experience to such a degree.
In the complete power of now, like.
Yeah, exactly.
It's you know, it's one of the things that never ceases to amaze me is just how little of the now we actually spend. Where almost especially in today's society, where it's not enough that you've got a mobile phone, you've got you know you not only SMSing or texting on your mobile phone or cell phone, as I guess everybody else calls it. In Australia, we call it the mobile phone.
Yeah.
But you've got things like Facebook and Twitter, and it's all that time that we used to have being, I guess, bored is now gone. There's something to fill your day 24 hours, and to be in the moment is getting, I think, maybe not harder, but it's so distracting now for people who don't realize.
Well, and we do have we have all these extra options, you know, of extra things to distract us, which, you know, for me, you know, I really don't want to look at anything in this world as a negative thing, because, you know, Twitter, Facebook, you know, the mobile phone, they're all tools that we can use to take us deeper into the moment if we really are present with it. And I don't want to say, like, you know, that people should worship you know, anything that they think is separate from themselves, because everything is connected to yourself. It's all one. You know, we're all part of the God source. And so, you know, and if you can be in a state of worshiping whatever your experience is in each moment, you know, a state of devotion, that maybe you love Facebook. Well, that's beautiful, you know. Then be a Facebook devotee and really be present with it, and that's going to be your God.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with that. The only problem is when you feel maybe guilty about it, or maybe there comes a time and you're on Facebook and you feel addicted and you can't get away from it.
Or pressured, yes.
Or on
Yeah.
your phone and you want to get off your
Yeah.
phone, you're like, I can't hang up. I
Yeah.
have to continue to, that's when it becomes a problem, is when the addiction element comes in, because that's the mind, or there's something, the higher self is saying, it's time to just relax and take care of yourself and do something different.
Yeah.
And it's all about raising your frequency and doing what makes your heart sing. And when you're in an addictive experience with something, your heart's not singing. Your heart's contracting, and it's getting smaller and saying help. And so we're all addicted to something. Everybody on this planet has some form of addiction, whether it's a codependent relationship, or they're addicted to sugar, or to TV, or even to just a negative thought pattern, that they are trying so hard not to think. It's like there's just deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole that you can dive into these layers of addiction. And the thing is and I find that this is such a key element in the world of manifestation, is to look at what are your addictions, and what is it that keeps you addicted. Because when you can really be really authentic and honest with yourself, and saying, okay, this is where I feel pain, and I don't want to feel the pain, so I'm going to go into this addiction instead. And if you can actually just go into the pain and really just relax through it and to the other side of it, you'll find that there is this beautiful gateway of energy and love and healing that is so powerful that it will take you so much further in life, because you're not giving your energy away to the addiction anymore. You're giving your energy back to yourself again, back to the healing process that we're all in. And this brings out one of the highest frequencies that allows instant manifestation to happen.
Right. Okay.
Because
and would you say that if you start with that simple meditation practice that you gave, where you're trying to get to 45 minutes, is it at 45 minutes that you can actually achieve that kind of entrance to that bliss, that beautiful love? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a state of like cosmic transcendence where you go beyond the cosmos.
Wow.
Like you become universal mind. There's no words really. It's just beyond what normal the human mind can conceive of, and it's not necessarily an achievement. I don't want to say that, because it is our natural state. It is it is just the fishbowl water just sitting still and doing nothing. That's all it is. And so if you try to get to achieving it, you're still passing around in circles.
You're sort of not thoughtless, are you? You've got an agenda, and like you're not still if you're trying to get somewhere.
Yeah, if you're trying to get still, you're still trying.
Yeah.
You still got a paddle in the water, or your little fins are still flipping around.
That's the catch-22.
and that's for the advanced meditator, and for the common person that has never meditated, they may be able to drop in on the first time to tremendous level of stillness, because they're open, they're curious, they're like a little child. It's like, wow, I don't even know what this is.
And
I'm going to try it out.
There's no expectation.
Exactly. And it becomes playful, and that's really my main message, is to really make this world your playground, your inner world, your outer world, your relationships, your money, your sex life. Everything is this playground where just make it not non-serious, just playful, lighthearted, joyful, no attachment to anything. And that's one of the things, and one of the main blocks that happens, is people get attached to their desires, They get attached to how they think they should show up. They get attached to
when they should show up.
When they should show up, and they're not showing up now, so I'm not doing it right, and all these things.
So that's actually leading me into another question that I've got, which is, what do you do? Like sometimes, some days you just cannot avoid. As much as you might make your world your playground and take everything non-seriously, there are some days where nothing goes your way and you get into a state of negativity. What do you suggest people can do to sort of get out of that and to get back to a positive?
I would go into a closed room and just write down all those negative thoughts, emotionally let them out.
Yeah,
you know, you can
that's so critical,
out.
Isn't it? You've got to let them out. There's no good trying to push them down.
No, I mean it's just like, you know, trying to push the muck down in the fishbowl. You know, it's just going to get kicked back up. Yeah. You know, and it's probably the hardest time to sit still and just be with those thoughts. But eventually, when you write them all down, or if you have a really good friend that just is going to let you share all their negativity and not
have a bit of a rant. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, but I would really, you know, make a container, you know, and saying, okay, for the next 15, 20 minutes, I'm going to just go crazy on the negativity and really get it out, and then I'm going to quit. Yep. You know, when it's and because some people, they get a high off of it, and they're just like,
and then you keep going.
My whole life is negative, and there's no end to this toilet bowl of depression. You know,
because
and they just
that can
keep.
be quite addictive too, can't it? Like that sometimes in that negative state.
Anything can be addictive. That's the crazy thing is that you know people. And that's the thing is people can get addicted, you know, to a high thing or a low thing. It just doesn't matter. It's the addiction is to an experience that isn't fully experienced.
Yeah.
So meaning if you're addicted to pizza, you haven't fully sat down and really tasted what pizza's like. You know what I mean? And once you do that, then the addiction starts to fall away. And you can do this with smoking. You can do this with sex or anything, though, or you're addicted. It's like once you really, you know, have that cigarette and you really, like, inhale the smoke into your lungs and feel how it feels, you're probably not going to want to smoke another cigarette for a while because you've got that sensation in the body, you know, and so it's any addiction, you know, is going to be in some way fulfilled when you are present with it. And so it comes back to the same message of just being present with your experience, whatever it is, and not judging it, you know, whatever it is. And eventually you'll transcend it, and you'll get to a higher state of consciousness where you won't really want to go back to that experience because it doesn't necessarily raise your vibration or make you feel good.
Yes.
So you move beyond it. Now, it doesn't mean that if you're a Facebook, you know, addict, that doesn't mean that you're never going to go on Facebook again. You may go on it, but you may go on it with a whole different attitude of just, you know, lightness, playfulness, that, you know, you can actually walk away from it at any time, and you can just, you know, you can go outside and frolic in the grass and, you know, make love on the beach or whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, there's more fun things to do, you know, in this world. There's many fun things to do in this world. So
yes, I agree.
I mean, that's what this world is. I think on a deep level is really here to.
It's our playground, isn't it?
It is our playground, and it's our mirror. You know, it shows us, you know, where our spiritual growth is, you know, with the people that are here, and they mirror back to you what it is that you're still, you know, not complete with or not healed with, or maybe that you did complete with or did heal with. They're perfect mirrors.
Yes.
So,
that's so true.
Yeah.
So true. Okay, so I'm really keen to find out just a little bit more about your product, the Super Manifester. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's got 12 basic manifesting meditations that are audio MP3 files you can instantly download and start listening to in a few minutes from now if you really wanted them now. So I make it instantly available to anyone on the planet and wherever you are if you have an internet connection. And so the files are, I've created them I'd say the last 8, 9, 10 years of my life, and they've just been inspired by where people are blocked. So there's manifesting meditations for money. There's manifesting meditations, to find your soulmate, to heal your body and your mind.
Wow.
To find a high spiritual experience, the samadhi experience, or to awaken your kundalini, which is this healing force that's inside of us that awakens to our spiritual experience as well. There's a meditation for children. There's meditations that activate your manifesting potentiality. So, there's a bunch of, just a variety that, to choose from, and these will raise your frequency. Now, the backbone to the Super Manifesting Program is the Manifesting Manual, which is over 250 pages long, and it goes into very fun, playful, inspiring details and exercises, techniques. There's all sorts of, it's like an encyclopedia of information.
Fantastic, but with practical things that everybody can do. The meditations sound brilliant, just brilliant, because there's just no excuse now for people. I often hear people say, well, I don't know where to start. Well, you just have to get on there and get a meditation. It's instant download as well, which is even better.
Yeah.
All you need is just some headphones and listen to a meditation every day.
Yeah, and the thing is that, when you apply what I call is the secret backbone to manifesting, which are these 8 habits that raise your manifesting vibration. They're in Chapter 9 of the Manifesting Manual. There's also a separate ebook that I just made called the 90-Day Manifesting Routine, which just contains these 8 habits. And it goes into great detail on what these 8 habits are that cover the financial, the mental, emotional, the spiritual, the relationships, the sleep, everything you do in life. When you create a habit,
it's so critical, isn't it? Habits to producing results, because whether we like it or not, we've got habits that have produced results that we've got today. Yeah.
And we get into habits with our habits. So it's like we get into these comfort zones of just doing life in a certain way, and then things just start to kind of stagnate because, we're in a constant growth process, called life. And, and these, eventually your vibration will get so high doing these 8 habits that you will manifest everything that your heart desires. And I guarantee this, this program is proven to work. If you do these habits 6 days a week, you take one day off, take a vacation, don't do anything for one day a week, and you just do the habit 6 days a week for 90 days in a row, you will see some amazing things show up. I guarantee it.
Wow.
It's impossible that things won't show up, okay? Because you do these things, you're going to raise your frequency, your consciousness. You're going to connect with the clarity of your vision. You're going to move through your blocks. You're going to completely shift your life into high gear, and you're going to be so inspired, so on target, that you're going to be unstoppable. I guarantee you.
Yep.
It's guaranteed. Yeah. Or if you don't, we have a money back. If you do them for 90 days, we'll give your money back because
to lose.
Yeah. Nothing to lose, and I want people to experience the high that is possible in life, where you really are integrating the low and bringing that low vibration into its fullest potentiality, which, it's just it's like the soil, it's like the manure that's in the soil inside of us. We need to use that to grow this dream.
Yeah. That's beautiful, because it's inside every one of us, and it's magic when it works. When we get it together and we connect to source, and it's really just so effortless, isn't it?
Yes, it is effortless when you're really in the moment, and you're devoted to being in this moment, and trusting this moment, and you're trusting your intuition, and and this joy valve that opens, when you're inspired action, in each moment, you're following your heart, and it's a beautiful thing, and you just can't go wrong if you live your life like that. And so, these habits, they bring you into the highest frequency possible in every area of your life. So, And there's other
So,
ebooks too there's an affirmations book that will help you to kind of get roots in the positive thinking, network.
yeah,
And there's so many different techniques that are found in the manual as well that will open your whole mind and system to the practicality of manifesting, where it really becomes a real thing for you.
right. Okay. So how long should people spend with their 8 habits? You're saying if you go through them 8 habits or 6 days a week for 90 days. How much time are we talking every day?
Well, it really depends on how much time that you can devote, let's say in the morning to, if you got 45 minutes,
Yep.
to do just their morning manifesting routine, you're going to
Yep.
kick your frequency up. Now,
Yep.
there's some other habits that have to do with, the social aspect and how to deal, with relationships. And so you apply these wherever you go.
Yep.
There's
So
habits
you can be practicing it throughout the day,
all day long.
whatever you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really the key, isn't it? Is to integrate it
Yeah.
into every day. And some parts it's good to be separate, but if you can make it into everyday life, then it truly does become a habit.
Yeah. And this is like a really positive thing that you can devote your life to, that you're just going to find that you're living your life and you're so excited about doing this that it's not like homework.
Yes.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
You're looking forward to this.
You're getting amazing results, so of course
Yeah.
you're going to keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. And your friends are going to see it. Your family's going to see it.
Yes.
That something shifted in you. There's a sparkle in your eye, and maybe you manifested something, that was pretty amazing, that it would blow their mind. And so you're starting to see results. And I've seen people, see results within 24 hours. So it can happen really quick. Yeah. It just depends on, how blocked you are and, how clear you are and what you want and how high your vibration is. So, anything's possible. And,
oh, yeah.
And,
yep.
and,
so can you tell us about any success stories that some of the people who've bought your products have given you feedback on?
Yeah, I mean, I've got I don't know, probably 80, 90 testimonials on the website.
Wow, that's awesome.
I mean, some of the ones that kind of stand out for me are, there was one woman who was trying to sell her property for a long time. I think it was over a year, and just was really blocked with selling her house. And she decided to do the Blue Room Manifesting Meditation, which is an audio. I guide you through this to go to this magical blue room where manifesting, starts to materialize in the world. And she went there, and I think it took her maybe a week or maybe just 2 weeks, but it just came out of the blue. This person, this contract,
Fantastic.
it just happened so quickly and so effortlessly that she knew without a doubt that this technique opened that door for her, because there had been so many blocks before that.
Yeah.
And I've had people that have manifested tremendous amounts of money, their soulmate. It's just they've shifted their vibration with their health. They've lost 50 pounds. I mean it's almost like whatever dream story that you can imagine, and I'm sure I haven't heard them all, because people they just send them to me, and some people don't send them, they just do their life and just reap the benefits.
Yeah, they get on with it, and
they get on with it.
They're busy.
Yeah.
loving their new manifestations. They're enjoying themselves. So.
Yeah, and I think one fun one I remember is that this young teenager girl was doing this technique that we call dream dialoguing, where you talk about your end desired results as if it happened yesterday. And so she was talking about how she met this amazing Hollywood producer who invited her to come out to California and work on this thing, and she's never talked to a Hollywood producer in Hollywood, and she's never done anything, but she did this dream dialoguing technique every day, and I think it
Yep.
maybe it took her like 10 days or something with her mom. And they just went for these walks and did this dream dialogue. Well, of course, out of the blue, and it was just like a wild thing. She doesn't even know how it happened, really. It was like a friend of a friend of a friend kind of thing. But this Hollywood producer, ends up calling her and says, we really want you. And she was so shy that she did not even publicize herself, or I don't even know if she had any sort of, modeling book or whatever. I don't even know what she was actually doing, but she just told me there's nothing that she did on the physical world that really brought this about. It was all in her inner world.
Yeah, there's no mistake where it came from, that she's manifested it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, we think, that these things are miracles, but really, I mean, the thing is that we are so connected to each other, and we're psychically communicating with each other all the time, and when we get our hearts and our souls and our energy and our emotions involved, it's like the universe, the broadcasting radio signal gets even more powerful.
Yeah.
And so that's what these 8 habits do. They raise your vibration to such a degree that you become this huge radio tower that is blasting out to the entire universe, and the signal gets so strong that the results, they end up showing up just because your tower is so tall now. You reach a larger audience, and so
it's become a giant satellite, basically, in tune as well, and in tune satellite.
Yeah, and the thing is that, that deep inside of us, there is this place that is always already in tune, in alignment, in perfection, connected to the God source, connected to our higher self, connected to this greatest love, the source of love. And it's always there, even though the mind, the emotions, the belief systems, they don't believe it's there. They say, no way, I'm having an awful day. How could there even be possible that this love is inside of me, or this trust is inside of me? And so it's just a matter, again, of bringing stillness into the mind and letting everything settle. And then when that does, it's very simple, but it's extremely powerful.
It's so beautiful, yes. Yeah, it sounds absolutely awesome. So people can get your products at your website, supermanifestor.com?
Yeah, supermanifestor.com. There's some free information at manifestingmagnet.com. There's enlightenedbeings.com is the main portal of all this enlightening information. We have 8 websites, and so we're out there and just educating the world on what's possible.
Yep.
And the Super Manifestor, you're going to see results. We give away the first chapter for free on Manifesting Magnet of the.
So people can actually sample it and see if they, that's great, because sometimes it just takes that little bit of, that tiny little edge of doubt off, that sort of, okay, I'm going to get my money back after 90 days, but what if I can't do it anyway, So they can get a sample chapter. That's awesome. So they can have a look at the sample chapter, see the kind of quality they're going to get, and then they can decide to go further.
Yeah, and you'll also get a free manifesting meditation, and you'll also get to be on our enlightening email list, which we send out these inspiring, enlightened emails that raise your vibration as well. So we're just here to help people, and if you do really want to take your life, beyond the stars and really see your dreams manifest, then go ahead and really do the program and do the 8 habits and go for it. And
excellent.
But we want people to know that we're for real, and this is a real product, and it really works. Yep. So
yes,
we give away for free.
I think they can see from this, from just what you've shared today, that you're giving amazing value. I mean, what you've shared now has just been so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing the fantastic tips and everything. So don't forget to check out Jaffrey's website, everyone, at supermanifestor.com. And yeah, he's got some amazing products and amazing things. If you really want to get started manifesting, you could be manifesting within 24 hours. Again, this is Kate at manifestingaccelerated.com. And thank you so much, Jaffrey. Until next time, we're signing off.
Oh, thank you so much, Kate. It was wonderful.
Thank you.